Ghosts, goblins, ghouls, spooky spirits. In this video, we're gonna break down my top haunted places here in Columbus. Hey, what's up everyone? Andy Howell here, local realtor, and today host of All Things Spooky in Columbus. In today's video, we're gonna break these spooky spots down. Before we get into that though, please reach down, hit that subscribe button. I love making videos all about Columbus, cool things that are happening here, the most haunted places you can go to. If that's something that interests you, please reach down and hit that subscribe button. 'Tis the season for all things spooky here in Columbus. Come October time, the shadows start getting longer, your eyes are playing tricks on you, the leaves are falling, there's a chill in the air. The perfect setup for Halloween. If you watch one of my really early videos, you know right behind me stands the gates of hell, and lots of urban legends swirling around this place. But you walk through here, it's really scary. You walk through here and right above it is this place called Portal Park. Supposedly the gates of hell lie right behind me. Everyone has at least one story. You felt a presence in the room. You felt somebody watching you. You know, that hair on the back of your neck is standing up. It's just spooky. And you know, no matter what's going on here, what you believe is going on here, our minds tend to play tricks on us, and the unknown can just be fearful. So in this video, I'm gonna talk to you my top 6 most haunted places here in Columbus. And for me, that all starts right around the corner at WALHALLA Ravine. Sure, it doesn't look that scary right now. There are people around, it's light out, but at night, you know, probably the street lights aren't gonna be working. The fog settles low and on the street right here, it can be quite spooky, and there are tales to go along with all that spook. Many of these tales revolve around the Mooney Mansion. The story goes something like this. A man by the surname of Mooney, in a fit of rage, goes and kills his wife and his 2 small children with an axe. Well, he comes to his senses, realizing what he's done, distraught, guilt, so guilty in fact, that he hangs himself from this bridge right above me right now, the Calumet Bridge. That's one story. Another story goes, you know, not a lot of detail here, but an Ohio State student, super depressed, came up and hung herself from this bridge. My own personal story also involves this bridge. My wife and I were out getting cocktails one day, talking to the bartender, who was a self-professed witch, goes on to ask us if we'd ever heard of the witch of WALHALLA Ravine. Had not. Spent a lot of time down here running, exercising in the spookiness late at night, early in the morning. Well, we got back later that night and took the dog for a walk down here through WALHALLA Ravine. And right when we came through here, it was over in this area, sure enough, an owl flies through and under the bridge. Supposedly, according to this other witch, this is the witch of WALHALLA Ravine who lived and embodied this owl. Kind of spooky. That's my WALHALLA story. One thing's for sure though, all stories revolve around this bridge. Next on my list is the Ohio Penitentiary, right in the Arena District. In fact, it sat right where Nationwide Arena was. And this is a penitentiary that was open for 150 years, operating from 1834 to 1984. This place was brutal. There were not great conditions in there, and a lot of people were executed in there, either by the electric chair or by hanging. And so a lot of the stories and stuff, you know, maybe are from the people that met their demise in the prison, but also there was a particular event in the 30s, a huge fire that happened, killed about 300 people, injured 200 more. And that's where specifically a lot of these haunted stories seem to be coming from. So the story goes that a couple inmates, 3 inmates, were looking to make an escape attempt. So their plan was to start a fire, you know, when everybody was in the dining hall, and enough of a fire that would distract the guards and give them a way to make their escape. Well, things didn't necessarily pan out that way. What did happen is a fire did start, but it started a little bit late. All the prisoners were back in their cells, doors were locked, just made them complete sitting ducks for a fire. The fire happened, killed a bunch of people. Well, blame was placed on these 3 inmates, 2 of which later went on to commit suicide, presumably from the guilt associated with starting that fire. I don't know if that really happened. Another legend says that the part of the penitentiary, when they added on to it, was built right over the old prison cemetery, and they didn't even exhume the bodies before construction happened. So the graves were desecrated, and people say that it was those inmates, those deceased inmates there that you know, created this fire as punishment for the guards. But until that building was torn down, I hear that people would hear screaming as if the prison was on fire and people were burning alive at night. That's kind of spooky. I think the souls are at rest now, though, because I haven't heard of any stories necessarily about Ohio Penitentiary since Nationwide went up. Next up on our list, the Blind Lady Tavern, now known as the Jury Room. This was the oldest tavern. It is the oldest tavern in all of Ohio. This establishment has been open since 1831, not continuously as a tavern. It's been everything from a boarding house to house Union soldiers during the Civil War. It's been a bordello, and today it's a bar and cocktail lounge. Well, the story goes something like this. Back in 1859, when this was operating as a brothel, the madam of the establishment shot and killed one of the patrons who was drunkenly trying to get into the brothel after hours. Since then, employees have reported seeing a shadowy figure out of the corner of their eyes wearing a white shirt. Presumably the man that was murdered. So kind of spooky there. Next up is the Thurber House. Located in downtown Columbus, this was once home to the novelist and cartoonist James Thurber in the early 1900s. He reported during his stay there actually having some paranormal activity, and in fact the stories around that made it into one of his short stories. Well, today that's a literary center, but the stories keep coming. Weird things like books flying off the shelves, furniture being moved, things like that. There isn't much consensus on the lingering spirit that's causing all these disturbances. Some say it was a man that took his own life in the area. Other people say there was a lunatic and a sane asylum right in that area that suffered from a fire, and it's the disgruntled, unrested spirits that are there and disturbing the Thurber House. Who knows? Next up, Mirror Lake, right in the heart of Ohio State's campus. Legend has it that there was a professor of the university here who ended up killing himself. His wife blamed the university, cursed the university, and said she would haunt the area forever. She is lovingly known as the Lady of the Lake and can be seen flying across the lake in her gown. And then also where Pomerane Hall sits now, supposedly where the husband had killed himself. She has been seen in room 213 up there, playing tricks, locking and unlocking doors, lights on and off, things like that. Other legends about the area are that a mugging went bad back in the 1960s, and a man was murdered there. And supposedly you can feel the cool breeze as he runs by looking over his shoulder, running away from his assailant. Other stories are of drownings in the lake, and that sometimes you can hear the splashing, the kicking, the muffled screams as this event plays over and over and over. Pretty spooky. We're going to end with a not so scary story that revolves around the governor's mansion right on Broad Street. This building served as the governor's mansion for about 10 Ohio governors. It was built in 1904 and served as the governor's mansion up until about the mid-50s, and then it was relocated over to the Bexley area. This big old governor's mansion fell into disrepair pretty quickly, and fortunately the Columbus Foundation came in, they bought the building, they had a budget to renovate it, and renovations began. Well, workers there noted seeing a woman who they assumed was a servant at one time, and one person even commented that they spoke to this ghost, and she had expressed her pleasure and she liked the renovations they were doing. She was very proud of them. Well, she's also been known to remove artwork and pictures she didn't like from the wall. So not so spooky, kind of a loving ghost. But tell me what your most spooky story that's happened to you in Columbus. Would love to hear from you. Let me know what I missed. Let me know about the most spooky place here in Columbus according to you. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.